Cars are ready, the drivers are ready. We hope you're ready as qualifying is about to begin here in Bahrain. Before the cars take to the track to start qualifying, who are you expecting to have a good session today?
Well, I certainly think Sebastian will be strong here. He really loves this circuit, and as long as he has the car performance, you can expect him to be right up there challenging for pole.
Hey guys, how's it going? Onich here, and welcome to a new F1 2015 video. And it has indeed been a very long while since I last uploaded a career mode on my channel. It's been long since I last uploaded any video really on the channel. Reason for that is that I went on to a holiday, and after that I organized an event. So I was extremely busy really over the course of the last 3-4 weeks or so. And apart from that I also work. So yeah, I have been very busy, and as a result of that there was a lack of videos. But now that the event is over, I have some spare time here and there, and I can finally start to record a bit and commentate and edit and stuff. So that's why it took a little bit longer. I apologize for that, but nonetheless we are obviously back over here with qualifying for the 4th round of our F1 2015 series, career mode rather, around Bahrain. Not one of my favorites, but definitely not of my most hated tracks ever either. It's a decent track, could be worse, as I come very close to the ball there. It's a track you need to have quite a bit of commitment through most corners, and good braking control. That's quite important here. In a lot of corners you don't exactly brake in a straight line, you turn your wheels slightly. That's a bit different compared to other tracks. Like over here you start braking here in a straight line, but you do need to start to apply a little bit of steering lock, of course, into that corner, otherwise you're going straight. So it's slightly different in that aspect to other tracks maybe, but obviously it shouldn't be that much of an issue as I missed my apex a little bit there. This was actually one of my first runs. I usually do a high fuel run and at the end of the session do a lower fuel run. I never do practice, I just jump straight away into qualifying, and my first stint on that high fuel run is my practice then. And then here we go, skip later into the session, starting a new lap. But as you can see, I completely messed up the exit of the first corner. This is then a low fuel run. I set a 34.863 with high fuel, or higher fuel. It's like 8 laps of fuel, and this is a run with 4 laps of fuel, or 3 even. So after that first sector, almost a 10th down, and I decided to back out of it over there. I'm sure I could have improved here in this second sector, but there was a little bit of traffic in front of me as well. So I decided to back out and try it again over here. And so here we go then, into the first corner, and straight away I make another mistake, outbraking myself into turn 1, getting away with it, but definitely losing a few tenths, I would say. So after that high fuel run, I just set there was a benchmark, but I just, as I see here, again going so deep into that corner, I raised the bar too much, I think. Despite that, 2 tenths down on Kvyat, who is currently in pole position somehow, and then I make a complete mess of that corner, had a cut and an extent, and then I back out of it. So what a disappointing qualifying.
For the Russian driver Daniel Kvyat, whose impressive track performance has given him the fastest lap of the day. It means now he starts on pole for tomorrow's race.
Well, it was a fantastic result, but he'll know you don't get any points on a Saturday, and to make this a great weekend for the team, he needs to do the same thing tomorrow.
Hello and welcome from the Bahrain International Circuit here in Sakhir, where the drivers are down on the grid going through the last checks with their engineers before we can get underway. Daniel Kvyat hasn't stopped smiling since he secured pole position. He's going to want to concentrate on the main event though today if he's going to be smiling come the end of the race. But whatever happens, he's made people sit up and take notice.
He was driving on another level yesterday, so it wouldn't be a surprise if he just pulls away from the field and is untouchable. But as we know, anything can happen in Formula 1, so we'll just have to wait and see.
What a race it was for Sebastian Vettel last time out. The German was back to his best and put in an almost flawless performance.
Well, after winning those 4 world titles back-to-back, Seb certainly struggled to adapt to the new hybrid V6 era. True to the saying, form is temporary and class is permanent, he's back to winning Grand Prix and showing just what a great talent he is.
What is quite interesting is that Kvyat is in pole position, and what is even more interesting is that he is in pole position by 2.2 seconds. So most likely something messed up there. But he is in pole, and that will be interesting because he will probably drop throughout the race. But a very poor qualifying performance by me, especially on the low fuel run, which is usually of course where you make up a few positions. So starting in P10 then, already losing a few positions here at the start as a bit too much wheel spin entering turn 1, making up for that though, as I go down the inside here, and then now having the outside line for turn 2. Nothing too serious as Ricciardo in front had to back out a little bit with a much better run on the exit of the final corner, of the last corner I should say. And so we take P9 entering turn 4 right now on the inside of Grosjean as well, who leaves the door wide open, actually goes really deep into that corner, and we take him as well. So up to P8, jump 2 positions as we are now behind the Williams. Obviously after that qualifying performance we need to make up for it. As you can see here, being pretty aggressive here at the start, trying to make up as many positions as I can. Tried to go for the cutback, but Massa was there, so I couldn't turn into the corner. So we have to settle down a little bit now and start working our way up through the field in P8 at the moment. Obviously DRS has not yet been enabled. Right on the back of Massa here, and AI seems to have always a better run out of slow speed corners. I don't know whether it's due to the Sauber traction or just like 2014 F1 2014. Where they had traction control, even though you were running on the highest difficulty. I think that was the case. So that may be the case in this game as well. I have no idea, but usually they are much better on the exits of slow corners. But it may as well be down to the Sauber car. So I'm not entirely sure. Massa losing a little bit of touch with that Mercedes in front of him, which is Rosberg, as I go way too deep into the final corner, locking up a bit there, trying to push too much. And now I lose touch with Massa at the same time as well because of that mistake. Ricciardo behind, obviously is not that big of a threat. He's 4 tenths behind us, and secondly, he obviously has a Renault engine. I have to say I'm pretty happy that I have the privilege to run with the Ferrari engine. To be honest, it would have been bad if we were running in a Renault engine, Renault powered car. Let alone a McLaren Honda, of course. It seems like a Ferrari is currently driving in first. Or is it Hamilton? I think Hamilton is driving in first. Yes, look on the minimap. Hamilton in first, just absolutely pulling away at the moment. Fiat is dropping a few positions already. As I think both Ferraris passed him. No, not yet. Raikkonen still needs to pass him as well. So Hamilton is absolutely flying at the moment, obviously. And Fiat is holding this back up a little bit, which is actually good for us. After I made that mistake, I can now come back and get in touch with Massa. Get closer and closer. Next lap the DRS will be enabled. Try to find which mixture over here down these straights. Currently obviously not close enough though to Massa. Not close enough at all to do anything. Look how much I creep up through that last corner. I think it is turn 15, or sorry 13. I think it is turn 13, but I may be wrong. Then rolling it into this corner. I think it's a really nice corner in that corner. It's a bit of a weird one, but you really need to roll the car into it. Maybe press, the brakes slightly, but definitely not too much. You want to roll the car into it as much as possible. Same for here. Then straighten up your car on the exit, get on the power as early as possible. And as you can see, we're pretty close behind Massa. Obviously, this whole train is behind Fiat at the moment. As Hamilton, as I said before, is flying away at the moment, and I can't do anything about Massa at the moment. Great top speed from him as we reach 350 kilometers an hour and diving on the inside of Massa into turn 1 left, leaving the door wide open there. And I'm going to take that up to P7. Still behind this little train, although Raikkonen is past, Bottas is past, Rosberg is going to try to make a move on the inside of turn 4. Fiat looks like he has to move stick, and we are going to try and take advantage of that, but cannot really do that because Fiat swings it around the outside beautifully. Still side by side over here. Let's see whether we can capitalize on this. I do hope so, trying to see where I can go, but then deciding to back out of it over here. I could have dived there, but that would have been a bit too aggressive in my opinion, so we need to wait now, be patient. At the same time get past Fiat as soon as possible, because as you can see that Ferrari in the distance is already flying away and only got past Fiat in a few corners ago. Ending off lap 3, opening up lap 4 right now, a bit stuck behind Fiat, and you can see immediately what kind of gap that opened up, but easily past Fiat here with use of DRS. And now Rosberg is ahead as Bottas overtook Raikkonen. So Raikkonen dropped down a bit. Alright, skipping to the end of lap 6, opening up lap 7 right now. Gap to Rosberg is 3.2 seconds. Couldn't really stick with that group, to be honest. Massa is still behind us. He couldn't really do anything about his position either. It was just behind me. Obviously he has DRS, but the whole time it's just not close enough. I'm using rich mixtures down the straight in order to prevent Massa from getting past. But at the same time, that group ahead of me, they pulled out consistently over me, like 3-4 tenths a lap. I think it was about 3 tenths a lap. So consistently pulling away from me. So go way too much over that curb there. You can see that I am starting to push a little bit right now, and does it indicate that I'm going maybe for a bit of an earlier stop as I'm on the curb, and oh, big contact with Massa there. Spun me round, Ricciardo flies by, Fiat flies by, everyone flies by almost. And dropping to P11, P12 as Maldonado flies by. Maldonado, sorry, completely misses his braking point for turns 9 and 10. Is it 9 and 10 or 11 and 12? I think it is 9 and 10 actually. So then this one will be turn 11. I think it is 9 and 10. But dropping to P11 and just over the curb, getting too much on the power. You saw it before, I was pushing too hard. And that was just very stupid from me. In that way I just pushed too hard, got on the curb, on the exit curb. And then when you apply too much power and you are in the right spot at the wrong time, or the wrong spot at the wrong time, it can easily spin you out, which is exactly what happened there. Maybe I could have recovered the car, and obviously I had the hit from Massa, who could not avoid me, somehow not ending up with damage. That is quite lucky. So we got down the inside of Perez on the final corner, opening lap 8 right now. And in P10, so it's not been a fantastic weekend at all. And as you can see here as well, going deep into the final corner. Nah, it's not the kind of first stint we would have liked, that's for sure. We're pretty okay in the beginning, but making so many mistakes here on the final couple of laps, and also just did not have the pace. Well, I didn't make mistakes, you know. As I said, consistently I was losing 3 tenths a lap to that group which was in front of me. And so I decided to do something else strategic wise. That's the only thing I really felt like would make sense at this stage. Coming out of the pit lane over here on the prime tire though, interestingly enough. So indeed going for a little bit of a different strategy. Luckily we're joining in front of the manor of Stevens. Exactly what we want. That way we have clean air right now. And on this fresh prime tire we should hopefully be able to push. But obviously that gap to the Rosberg train, I'm going to call it, obviously has increased a lot since I had some troubles. Coming down this straight over here, and who is that? Vettel is in front of us, and Ricciardo is as well. So those guys were behind me before, obviously, when I made that mistake, especially Ricciardo was, I think, having to cut the corner there in order to avoid Ricciardo. It's very, very tense going side by side through there. Ricciardo still here on my inside, but I have the straight line speed. So Ricciardo backs out of it, and Vettel tries to swing around the outside and does so beautifully on turn 4. So Vettel getting past Ricciardo there with a beautiful move. And we are back up to P9. We're still, I think, a few guys to stop. Bottas ahead, 3.6 seconds. And I wonder where Massa is. Massa maybe still having to pit. But definitely I clawed back, or I gained back a bit of time after the pit stop, or the massive undercut I went with. But obviously we are right now on the prime tire as well. I think everyone around us is going for a soft tire. So Vettel behind, and I need to keep him behind for as long as possible. That is only going to benefit me towards the end of the race again, when I am going to be on the softer compound. I just felt like I had to do something different, and this was my my solution. Hopefully it works out well. We have to see, because so far we haven't had the pace during this race. And obviously I didn't have the kind of consistency with making mistakes. Coming into the final corner here, nailing the apex beautifully, obviously with those fresh tires, not too hard. Plenty of grip available. Vettel behind though, opening up lap 11 right now. Let's see what Vettel can do. 3 tenths behind us, obviously he has DRS, Ricciardo behind that. And Vettel can't do anything. But a few guys in the pit lane, meaning we move up to P5, so that undercut I did seems to be working quite well. We were in I think P9 or something like that when we pitted, maybe even P10 as I go again over the curb though, losing control of the car, coming into turn 8, and Vettel takes it. Ricciardo gives me a bit of a shove there on the corner exit, but I'm not going to blame him. Again a mistake by me, going too much over that curb. There's a bit of a dip in that curb itself. It's a little bit weird, as you can see here on the right hand side as well. Bahrain is one of those tracks which has like a double curb. The point basically where the second curbing starts, there is like a dip. If you dip your tire into that dip, I know it's getting real complicated right now. Now if you dip your tire into that little pit, I guess you could call it as well, it can really unsettle the car, and exactly that is what happened there. And straight away you can see I'm losing connection to Ricciardo. Trying my best, absolutely trying my best to keep up right now. But at the same time, you've got to be realistic. I am on the prime tire, those guys are on a softer tire. We will have DRS though. As you can see, clearly pushing, missing my apex there, getting hard on the power here. It was not what I wanted. I did not really want to push to the maximum during the stint because obviously I'm on the prime tire and I went for an undercut, so I need to make these tires last a little bit longer than I maybe wanted, as we have a top speed on Ricciardo by quite a bit. Trying to brake, slow the car down, you can see not very stable at all on the braking there, and I have to let Ricciardo go for now. But Massa is behind us, so Massa, we indeed jumped him by quite a margin. It's just a shame that I made another mistake. I was lucky to actually keep it on track. It was quite wiggly on the corner entry, let's call it like that, on the entry of turn 8. Bit of oversteer here as well. End of lap 15, as you can see Massa quite close behind us. He's going to go and make a move. Massive top speed difference here. Massa going past us there. It's interesting who's going to get the DRS. I braked a little bit early in order to get the undercut, straighten up the car a little bit earlier for this straight. So I have a better chance at passing him again, and I have the DRS, so that will be our advantage. Seems like we'll be able to take Massa back then pretty easily. But the guys in front obviously absolutely pulled away. Ricciardo is in front, but that Ferrari from Vettel isn't even on the minimap anymore. So Vettel having absolutely astonishing pace at the moment. And I have obviously no answer on the prime tire. But we are due to stop quite soon, I guess, somewhere around lap 19, lap 20 maybe. And then get on that soft tire and just push like hell then, obviously. Lap 18, Massa in the mirror, you can see it, pulling into the pit lane. Peeling into the pit lane, and we jump to P2 at the moment. So, second place. Obviously we are a full pit stop down though. Raikkonen behind, who's having quite a good race, has to be said. And Hamilton all alone out in front, and that is not good for our championship hopes. I believe Hamilton is leading the championship at the moment, and it seems like this race will be all about damage limitation for us. And if we want to think about that championship, obviously we had to beat Hamilton here. My target is to beat the guy who's leading the championship for every single race, but fortunately Hamilton is completely unbeatable for me here at the moment. As we skip to lap 23, and I have that softer tire on the car at the moment. Gap to Ricciardo is about 6 seconds, and I think it was about 9 seconds when I exited the pit lane. So I'm definitely pushing very hard. You can see it here as well, nailing the curb, using all of the track that's available. Going to rich mixture here again, using a lot of fuel here at the final stage of the race, but I feel like I have to. 1:34.563, a new personal best for me, and 5.7 the gap to Ricciardo. So I gained 4 tenths over the course of one sector alone. Let's keep that gap in mind. 5.7 seconds as we start lap 24. Let's see what we can do. Definitely pushing over here. A bit of oversteer there on the exit of turn 2, heading down to turn 4 at the moment. And Ricciardo, that car on the horizon is just getting closer and closer, but at the same time I'm running out of laps. 5 more laps to go in order to make that move stick, and 5.7 was the gap starting this lap. So, well, I need to get over a second a lap. 5.2 it is now, though, gaining half a second in one sector alone, coming through this second sector right here, managing to slow it all down for turn 8 this time. Heading down to turns 9 and 10, obviously very important to get these ones right, and also nail the curb over here a bit more than I did over there. I missed the curb quite a bit actually. Same time, try to roll it into that turn 10. As I said, this is a track where you need to apply a lot of I guess soft braking and just rolling it into most corners. I think that's the main approach for most corners on these tracks. Obviously the final corner and the first corner are straightforward, you know, braking in a straight line. But for some here you apply quite a bit of steering lock while you're having to slow the car down. Especially because it are quite low speed corners, it is best to roll the car really into it. As you can see, they're climbing all over the curb. In fact, was a cut. And at the end of lap 24, remember the gap was 5.7 starting this lap, and it is right now 3.8. That is a massive amount of time we gained on Ricciardo over the course of that lap. And the personal best as well, 1:34.379, so still improving. And at the end of lap 26, you can see now that Red Bull car being closer than it ever was before, and the gap now being 1.6 seconds. So definitely gaining some time, but definitely losing some time at the same time. Obviously, I did a 134.3 before, into the 35.3s right now, so a second slower than I was before. Tires are starting to fall off, and has Ricciardo got a response then? That is the question, obviously. Ricciardo maybe got held up by Murray, who's in front of us right now. I pray that this guy is going to get out of the way as soon as possible, and he does so right here, although, well, he didn't really get out of the way. I just went for the dive there. Didn't want to get held up by him. 1.6 starting this lap, it's now 1.9, and so I was behind that back marker. You can see here now having to lift, as I have a bit of a track extension and pushing so hard right now. Managing to slow it all down for turn 8, but only barely. You can see the tires locking up, and you can see just by the corrections on the wheel and stuff, I am pushing like hell at the moment. At the same time, these tires are starting to fall off. 135.8, another half a second slower over the course of that lap. 1.6 the gap to Ricciardo, so that, you know, it is stabilizing, and it is not good for us trying to slow it all down. And you can hear the tires on the verge of, you know, losing grip, right on the limit of grip there. 2 more laps to go though. 1.6 seconds is the gap. This is the lap then. I need to try to get as close as possible, and maybe thanks to that I could get an attack in on the final lap of this race, but it's hard because I've been pushing so hard over this stint. I didn't even expect to come this close to Ricciardo, to be honest. That was already quite a bit of a surprise to me. Sliding it into here, definitely not the quickest way. Just starting to lose lots of grip right there. And over the curve, losing traction, and you can immediately see that Ricciardo pulled away a little bit. You can see just opposite lock going into turns 9 and 10. There's just not a lot of grip anymore left from these tires, and it does look like Ricciardo is able to respond at the moment, and that's a big shame for us. Obviously, I was feeling so comfortable gaining lots of time on him, but maybe I gained a bit too much time, maybe I pushed a bit too much, and yeah, I start to feel that right now. Obviously, that the tires are starting to fall off. 1.8, so he getting another 2 tenths in the middle sector, and I am losing a lot of time to my own personal best time as well, obviously. But yeah, that's not really all that weird. You can see the tires going off, especially the rear tires starting to struggle for traction, and sliding it into the corner like, I don't know, it's just, you know, very desperate right now to catch Ricciardo. But entering this final lap, the gap is up to 2 seconds again, and obviously you should never give up, but realistically at this stage you know that it is a tough task, and maybe it is a bit too much of a task, you know. It's a bit too much. Massa is again catching to us as well, but we created a huge gap obviously to Massa. So did I go with the right strategy here with going for the prime tire? Well, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. It's always easy to say that, obviously, especially with you know, with hindsight, now that it all happened. Another 3 tenths loss to Ricciardo, so I think we are pretty much settled for P7. But Hamilton is going to take the win, and that is a big shame for us, because we're going to lose vital points now in this championship. Had a bad day, and Hamilton takes the win, so definitely not one of our strongest races. Down to me, most likely. I was definitely not at my best, making mistakes here and there, but well, this final stint went a lot better, has to be said. Pushing rather hard, but as you can see here, starting to understeer off the track, so I demanded a bit too much from the tires, but it was all or nothing pretty much in that final stint. We got close to Ricciardo, but unfortunately the tires gave up, and Ricciardo was also able to respond. You see lots of oversteer there entering that final corner. Rear tires are absolutely gone, and final corner here, and everything should be okay. Huge gap to Massa, obviously, coming out of the final corner and taking home the 7th place. Although, are we going to take home the 7th place as I touched the barrier? Because I made an incredibly stupid mistake, trying to recover as quick as possible, because on minimum you can see Massa coming, but I think we should be set for P7, and that was a very, very embarrassing moment, to be honest. Rear tire is absolutely gone, and too much power on the exit of that final corner. I wanted to have a little bit of oversteer, maybe have a nice drift, but that was not the best idea, no, with hindsight. So that was a bit stupid, but luckily we still managed to pick up that 7th place, as we had a huge gap to Massa. So Fiat in the end dropping down to P9, no surprises there. Hamilton in pole position though, or sorry, not in pole position, obviously in first. It also means that he is leading the championship by a little bit of a margin right now, so definitely not the best result ever for us, but hey, it could have been worse. I hope to see you next time. If you have enjoyed the video, I would appreciate a like, and that is pretty much it. See you next time, goodbye.